In the fall of 2018, when the maples along Route 6 turned the colour of old copper pennies, Daniel Harper turned 42 and realised he had spent most of his adult life waiting for something that never arrived. He lived in a small ranch house on the edge of Milford, Ohio, a town of 11,000 where the biggest news was usually the high school football score or whose barn had caught fire from bad wiring. The house had belonged to his parents. After his father died of a heart attack in '09 and his mother followed 3 years later from complications of pneumonia, Daniel stayed on. He paid the mortgage with his job at the paper mill 20 miles east, running the night shift on the corrugator. The work was steady, the pay decent enough to cover the bills and leave a little for the occasional six-pack and Netflix subscription. He wasn't unhappy. He just wasn't anything else either. His sister Lauren lived in Columbus now, married to a software engineer named Mark who wore Patagonia vests even in summer. They had 2 kids, a golden retriever, and a 3-bedroom colonial in a subdivision called Willow Creek Estates. Lauren called every Sunday after church. The conversations followed a script. "How's the mill?" "Same as always." "You seeing anybody?" "Not really." "You should come down for Thanksgiving. The kids miss Uncle Dan." "I'll try." He never did. Not because he didn't love them, he did, but because the drive felt like crossing an ocean, and every time he pictured himself sitting at their polished oak table, passing cranberry sauce, he felt like a guest in someone else's life. One Tuesday in late October, Daniel came home from the night shift at 7:15 a.m., the sky the colour of wet concrete. He brewed coffee, sat at the kitchen table, and opened the mail. Among the usual bills was a plain white envelope with no return address. Inside was a single sheet of paper, folded once. The letterhead read, Harrington, Wells and Associates, Attorneys at Law, Cleveland, Ohio. He read it twice before the words settled. The letter informed him that an estate matter had arisen concerning a woman named Evelyn Marie Caldwell, deceased July 14, 2018. Ms. Caldwell had named Daniel Harper as the sole beneficiary of a trust account established in 2003. The principal amount was $1,847,312.47, plus accrued interest and dividends. After taxes and fees, the net distribution would be approximately $1.4 million, payable upon execution of the enclosed documents. Daniel stared at the number until it blurred. Then he laughed once, a short, dry sound, and set the letter down. He figured it was a scam. He'd seen enough Facebook posts about Nigerian princes and fake lottery wins. He Googled the law firm. Harrington. Wells existed. Old firm, reputable. Handled estates for old money families in Shaker Heights and Chagrin Falls. He called the number on the letter. A receptionist transferred him to a junior partner named Rachel Kim. "Mr. Harper, thank you for calling back. I know this must be unexpected." "That's one word for it. Evelyn Caldwell was your great-aunt on your mother's side, your grandmother's older sister." Daniel tried to place the name. His mother had mentioned an Aunt Evie once or twice. Something about a woman who never married, lived alone in a big house on Lake Erie, collected antique clocks. They'd visited her maybe twice when he was small. He remembered a stern face, a house that smelled of lemon polish and old books, and a grandfather clock in the foyer that chimed like it was scolding you. "She passed last summer," Rachel continued. "No children, no close relatives, except a few distant cousins she hadn't spoken to in decades. She left instructions that the trust go to you. She said you were the only one who ever listened when she talked about the clocks." Daniel remembered sitting on the living room rug at 7 or 8 years old, watching Aunt Evie wind the mantel clock with a tiny brass key. She had explained the escapement mechanism in detail, how the tick and tock were balanced by gravity and tension. He had asked questions, she had answered patiently. That was it. One afternoon. "Why now?" he asked. "Why me?" "Because she believed in quiet merit," Rachel said. "She watched you from a distance. Your mother sent her Christmas cards with photos until she passed. Evie kept them all. She said you never asked for anything. That's why she gave it to you. Daniel thanked her, promised to read the documents, and hung up. He sat in the kitchen until the coffee went cold. For the next 3 weeks, he did nothing. He went to work, came home, slept. The envelope stayed on the kitchen table like a loaded gun. He told no one. Not Lauren, not his buddy Mike at the mill, not even the bartender at O'Malley's where he sometimes drank a beer on Fridays. He kept thinking about what $1.4 million could do. Quit the mill. Pay off the house. Travel. Maybe open a small woodworking shop. He'd always liked building things with his hands. Or nothing. Just live without the 11 to 7 grind, without the ache in his lower back from lifting rolls of linerboard. But money like that changes things. People change around it. He had seen it happen to a guy named Tom Whitaker who won $800,000 in the state lottery back in 2004. Tom bought a new truck, a boat, a house on the river. Within 4 years, he was divorced, bankrupt, and back working construction. The money hadn't made him happy. It had just made the unhappiness louder. Daniel didn't want louder. On a Saturday in mid-November, snow flurries dusting the windshield, he drove to Cleveland. The law office was in a brick building downtown, all polished marble and hushed voices. Rachel Kim met him in a conference room with tall windows. She was younger than he'd expected, maybe 35, with kind eyes behind rimless glasses. She walked him through the paperwork. The trust had been conservatively invested, mostly index funds, some blue-chip stocks, a little real estate. Evie had lived off the interest and a small pension from her years teaching high school history. She'd never touched the principal. "Why didn't she tell me?" Daniel asked. "She didn't want gratitude," Rachel said, "or pity, or family showing up with their hands out. She wanted the money to go to someone who wouldn't waste it. Someone quiet." Quiet. That word again. He signed where they pointed. They shook hands. Rachel said the funds would transfer in 10 business days. Driving home, the radio off, Daniel felt nothing dramatic. No rush of joy, no weightlifting. Just a strange calm like the moment after a storm when the trees stop moving. He told Lauren first over the phone on Sunday. She laughed, then cried, then laughed again. "You're rich, Dan." Like, actually rich? Not rich? Comfortable, I guess. "You have to come down. We have to celebrate." "I'll come for Christmas," he said. "But no big deal, okay? I don't want a party." She promised. He knew she wouldn't keep it. He told Mike at the mill the next week. Mike clapped him on the back so hard it hurt. "Jesus, man, you're buying the first round for the rest of our lives." Daniel smiled. "Maybe 1 round." He didn't quit right away. He waited until January, gave 2 weeks' notice. The guys threw him a going-away thing in the break room, sheet cake, a card signed by everyone, a gag gift of a gold-painted hard hat. He thanked them, shook hands, felt oddly sad. The mill had been monotonous, but it had also been predictable. Predictable was safe. He spent the first month doing small things. Fixed the leaky faucet in the bathroom, repainted the porch, bought new tires for the truck. Normal stuff. He didn't tell anyone else in town. Milford was small. Word travelled. In February, he drove to Sandusky and found Aunt Evie's old house on the lake. It was still for sale through the estate. Big Victorian. Faded blue clapboard. Wrap-around porch. The realtor let him walk through alone. The clocks were still there. Dozens of them. Mantel, wall, grandfather. All silent now. He wound the big one in the foyer. It ticked once, twice, then settled. He sat on the stairs and listened. He didn't buy the house. Too big, too many ghosts. But he took one small mantel clock, a simple oak case, brass face, soft chime. The realtor said it was okay. Back home, he set it on the kitchen counter. Every hour it chimed, gentle and sure. By spring, he had a routine. Mornings, he walked the back roads, coffee in hand. Afternoons, he worked in the garage, building a cherry bookcase for Lauren's kids. Evenings, he read. History, mostly. Books about ordinary people in extraordinary times. He liked the quiet ones best. Lauren and the family came for Easter. The kids ran through the house screaming. Mark shook his hand, said, "You doing okay with all this?" "Yeah," Daniel said. "I'm good." Lauren pulled him aside in the kitchen. "You haven't changed," she said. "I thought maybe you'd, I don't know, move to Florida, buy a sports car." He laughed. "I bought a new lawnmower." "That's about it." She hugged him. "I'm proud of you." He didn't know what to say to that. Summer came. He planted a garden, tomatoes, zucchini, basil. Nothing fancy. Neighbours started stopping by, asking for advice on deck stains or fence posts. He helped. No charge, just coffee and conversation. One evening in July, sitting on the porch watching fireflies, he thought about Evie. He wished he had known her better, wished he had called, written, something. But she hadn't wanted that. She wanted silence, distance, trust. He raised his glass of iced tea to the empty yard. "To quiet fortunes?" he said aloud. The crickets answered. Years passed the way years do, slowly, then all at once.